One, two, three. Welcome back to the 52 Weeks to Wealth. My name is Walter Morello, the real estate mentor. We've been journeying through this 52 weeks for the last 28 weeks. We are on Wealth Principle 28. This is a tongue twister. You must. Let me take a deep breath for this one. Wealth Principle number 28. Learn to deal with large amounts of money and the people who have it. This principle is all about getting confident with yourself and maybe your connection and experience around money. Hands to the camera if you want to make a lot more money this year, if that is your interest. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Hands to the camera if maybe you're already making a shit ton of money and you want to do less work. You'd like it to be a lot easier and simpler. Anybody want to simplify? What about if you want to make a lot more money and have a lot more time for yourself? Is that cool? You get two hands for that one. Otherwise, I'll just assume you want to be rich, which is okay with me. We're in the right room. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is the 52 Weeks to Wealth. It is a journey through building wealth, how to get there to the next level. We understand that everything up here is what produces everything in front of us. If it wasn't true, then people who work really, 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 really hard in, let's say, McDonald's would be extra rich. If hard work did everything, then the hardest working person at McDonald's would be a billionaire. Hands to the camera if that's not true. If you notice, that hasn't happened for anybody yet. No billionaires while they're working wearing the McDonald's apron. But what does happen is somebody changes their mindset. They come up with an idea, they fix their mind to it, they go out and they do right work, not just hard work. They do right work intentionally, maybe for a long period of time, so it looks hard, and then eventually results show. The hardest work on the planet, or I guess the most rewarding work on the planet, would you be interested in knowing what that is? Anybody? Is there anybody who wants to know how to get ultra rich on this call? I'm not talking about just millionaire stats, I'm talking ultra rich. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. All right. 9 is good enough for me. Even though there's 46 people on this call, only 9 want to be ultra rich. I'm not going to judge that. I'm on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. I believe, just like Grant Cardone, his 10X rule, if I teach you how to get ultra rich, you might accidentally just get normal rich. Hands to the camera if you're okay with at least becoming a millionaire first, starting there. And then a decamillionaire, right? We'll go to the 10, or we go to the 5, the pentamillionaire. It's all good. So this principle is the secret. It is the secret. The richest people on the planet know something that you don't know, or they're doing something that you're not doing. Hence, care if that's true. They're doing something that you're not doing. That's why they're rich. That's why they're there. There is no luck involved in becoming a billionaire. I promise you that we look at everything they've done, and you would have given up a long time before they gave up. They stayed at it, they kept at it, and they were doing something very, very right. And that one thing is they learned to deal with a lot of money. And they learned how to love the people who had it. Now, when you start loving people who have a lot of money, you start talking to people who have a lot of money. Hands to camera if you know that's true. You fall in love with somebody, you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to go find them at some point. I might be a little starstruck. I might be a little awkward, but I'm going to go meet them because that's my hero. That's the person I want to hang with. That's the person I want to get to the next level with. So when we start identifying and falling in love with a person, we start wanting to hang around them. Have you ever read the book, The Science of Getting Rich? If you have, then there's a phrase in there that says, focus on the best, surround yourself with the best, and you will become the best. If you're looking to become an accumulator of money, you must surround yourself or focus on people who have a lot of money. Focus on them and then surround yourself with them. And then over time, naturally, the progression, because you are loving a person, you'll become like that person. You are modeling someone of success. Hands to the camera if you've seen other people do this, heard other stories of people who had mentors, followed their mentors, went to the next level, and they became extremely rich. Melissa Baker, that is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. As one of the foundational 5 in Alchemist Nation's mentorship program, because it is such a profound book and has so many lessons. So today, what I'm going to talk about is how to actually build relationships with people who are extremely high net worth. Is that okay if I talk a little bit about social dynamics, how to interact with people who may or may not be perceived to be in a class that you have not yet attained to? And when I say class, I'm referring to financial class, not class and how they sip their tea. Hence the camera if we're okay with that. We're going to learn how to maybe level up our class. Anybody a little bit dissatisfied with where they're at in life? If you're not, you're probably going to stay there. You got to be a little dissatisfied where you're at in life. Okay. Now, obviously, you have to be full of gratitude. That's one of our wealth principles, but that dissatisfaction is going to get you looking somewhere else. We grasp this. Hence to the camera. If you grasp that dissatisfaction is part of the program, pain and gain. Tony Robbins talks about it. Doug mentions it in the talks that he does. Pain is what we move away from. Gain is what we move towards. But without pain, we tend not to move. We have to get a little frustrated. We have to get a little angry with the situation that we have. Now, you must have gratitude for what you have. No denying that you got to be thankful for the things you got in life in order to get more things. But you also have to get a little frustrated with where you're at in life and say, I deserve more. I want this specific thing. And currently it's not there. So now I must shift. It's a temporary state. You don't stay there, right? You have to make that shift initially. So we're going to go through 10 ways to build friendships with the ultra rich. Now, a requirement before you do this is you must be a decent human being. You must commit to doing all deals morally, ethically, and legally. And you must actually want to be rich. So if you feel like inside in your head, any of those things don't cross, like they don't make sense to you, this lesson will not do you any value. But if you do believe that you're a decent human being, if you do believe you can care about others, and if you do believe you'll do every deal morally, ethically, and legally, and you're okay with making lots and lots of money, then I believe I've set the context properly, and I feel okay with teaching you. Hands to camera if you agree, you're the right person to learn this lesson. And I didn't realize the record button wasn't hit, so I apologize to the team. We're going to have to download this from Facebook later. Number one is you could find a job for their child. Hands to camera if you know a rich person who has a child. Anybody? Yes. So their children are a big part of their lives. Number two, you could give to their charity. Anybody know a rich person with a charity? Is that like weird that they all have a charity? Every single one of them? Awesome. Excellent. Number two is you could give to their charity. It's a way to get in the game, have a conversation. Number three, do prospect research for their charity. Perhaps do some marketing, perhaps make some connections. You don't have to, if you don't have the money to donate, you could perhaps bring somebody in to donate or throw an event that would allow people to donate to their charity. Notice we were talking about the rich here. So if you believe the rich are greedy, evil people, this won't work for you. You're going to have to understand that they actually care and they have charities. Fourth one is raise money for their charity so you can actually go out and raise. You could do races, you could do events, lots of different ways to raise. You could do 100 push-ups a day for 30 days and raise money for a charity. Number five, this one is one of my favorites. Find good deals. You know what the rich want? Things they can put their money in. That's all they're ever looking for. When you have too much of this, you want to put it into stuff that gives you more time, because that's what they're always looking for. The rich, if you ask them what is their most valuable asset, they'll say time. Every single time. Every single person I've ever interviewed on Alchemist Nation on the podcast says, time is the most valuable currency I have. It's the most valuable thing in my life. Hence, if you've heard that before, you know that to be true in your own personal life. Excellent. So find them good deals that give them a great return on investment that are secure. Number six, provide them information that they may be seeking. Provide them with information they may be hunting for. That is one of my favorite strategies. In fact, there are many wealthy people on this call right now and in this series that I'm just providing them with information that they already know. And in most cases, they got rich because they know this stuff. But then it's a reminder. It's right back into, oh yeah, that's how I got here. Let me get back to my basics. Let me get back to what works. Instagram, if you've noticed that also, it's refocused you. It's gotten you back into what you're doing. That's providing knowledge. It's providing information, providing books. The rich trade books. One of the most interesting things I've discovered over the last few years, all my rich friends love reading books. And you know what they read? Books about mindset, books around success. Sometimes they'll read a book around something that they're looking to get into, an industry they've never been in before. Sometimes, like real estate investors, if you are walking and talking with a rich person who is outside of real estate, you're suddenly a wealth of knowledge to them. Hence the care if you know that they don't know anything about real estate in many cases. They're looking to learn how to do it, and then they're looking for somebody to bring the deal and then probably manage the deal. The rich don't want to do the work. We're the richest of the rich. We're talking about the ultra rich today. The regular, if you've made $1 million, sometimes I know a lot of millionaires who still love the grind, still love the hustle, still out there doing the things. But I'm talking about the ultra rich. They don't want to do the work themselves. So they're looking for somebody who can be an operator and a deal finder. Hence, Cam, if you got some of those skills, you think you could swing that? Anybody on the call? Yes, I know a few of you personally definitely can. Awesome. Number 7, write a letter to an editor. So there's a story of Tom Stanley, the author of The Millionaire Next Door, came up with this one decades ago, and he wrote a letter to the local newspaper and in support of an issue that's important to them. Then he mailed a copy of the letter to his acquaintance, letting them know the issue is important enough for them to write a letter around supporting the idea. So think about something that a wealthy person in your mind, you must know them first, wants to make a movement or be a part of something. You can go and take the initiative, something maybe they've said in a conversation, and then go and take that initiative and start taking action on making that change happen. Because a lot of social change just has to do with conversations or the media. Hence, if you know, you can make a Facebook post. You could make it very simple. It doesn't have to be crazy. Yes? This one's a little outside of most people's comfort range. For me, it's a lot easier. This is one that I did back in Fall River with my mentor at the time. He was looking to make some political changes. And I was like, well, I can, go out and learn some politics, connect with some people, and maybe suggest that we eliminate the trash barrel fees. Anybody know that you don't like paying trash barrel fees in your city? So like, it's annoying. So he said, yeah, it's frustrating. I was like, well, I'm going to go do something about it. I didn't change anything. I just took some action, and he thought that was really cool. That's the goal. You're looking to build relationships. 8, get their spouse to like you, right? One of the other avenues that I found extremely effective, Rod Cleef. Rod Cleef is a perfect example of this. So Rod is a super busy guy. His wife, Tiffany, is super busy also. But Dorina is really good at connecting with super busy people. So Dorina will text his wife like every week about something that his wife is interested in. So when it comes time to get Rod on a podcast, he always makes time for us. It also helps that he's got a big heart and he's always looking to help people, and that this is in line with his mission. Which brings me to another side note to this. Get a podcast. Very successful people are interested in being on a podcast and sharing their knowledge, sharing their wealth of knowledge, sharing their experience. And in some cases, they've written books now and they're promoting their books. Hence, Karen, if you're catching some of these things, they're scary, right? They're not things not everybody's going to take action on all of them, but these 10 are designed to help you think outside the box of a little thing that you could do. Number 9, you could send thank you notes. I know it sounds small, but this one time, and this was part of my agency business when I was a real estate agent. I used to send out a thank you letter to every person I ever did business with, whether they were a client, whether they were a contractor, whether they're another real estate agent. Many of those real estate agents were multimillionaires. Many of my contractors were multimillionaires. I very specifically remember this one time I got a phone call from one of the contractors. He was an electrician, one of the richest guys in the city, owned millions and millions of commercial property in Fall River. And he calls me up and he said, people don't do business like this anymore. Like that letter you wrote, he said, it's been years since anybody's written me a letter about, thanking me for my business, thanking me for my service, and thanking me for the opportunity to pay that. He said, man, you're going to go far in this business, and anything you ever need, you just let me know, because I wrote a letter. Hence the camera, if it's been a long time since you've written a letter to somebody you've done business with. Hence camera, if you've never done it, ever. I'm talking written letter, mailed with an old-fashioned stamp with an address. You have to know their address. And the idea is that, like, this is one of the rules that I had with Ron back in the day, was anytime we sent an invoice out, every so often I would take those invoices and I'd write a little letter that went with the invoice. We were paying our vendors. I just wanted to say, hey, thank you for the opportunity to work with you. Thank you for the service that you provide for us. Little stuff goes a long way. And please, these sound small, these sound simple. This wealth principle is a wealth principle that can change your life like that. All it takes is one partnership. All it takes is one relationship. All it takes is one partnership or relationship or an idea or a connection from somebody who is ultra, ultra rich. We're getting this. If you aim high enough, half of a project that is completely funded or financed by somebody else, as long as you're willing to run the project and do the work, that could be the game changer. Who has ever said having money is the issue? Like, not enough money to do the deals? Has anybody ever said that? Yeah, everybody on this call has said that at some point. The money was the challenge. They didn't have enough money to go and do the deal. If you're looking at taking down a 1,000-unit building or a 1,000-unit complex or a portfolio, you're looking at something that's anywhere between $20 to $40 million, $50 million to do these deals on the cheap. But these could be $100 million deals easily. And that comes from other people's money. What if it came from one person? What if it came from one person who did the raise for you? Vinny has a story. Vinny Chopra has a story, and he'll be at the summit. He has a story about this first guy he borrowed money from. I think it was under $250,000. The first amount of money that he borrowed from this guy, it was like $150,000. He's now got $5 million from this investor rolling into his deals at any point. But beyond that, he said this investor brought in 28 investors over the last 14 years. And those 28 investors are some of his biggest investors in his deals. It's about relationships. It really is about spending time with ultra wealthy people and finding out what they want. That's a very powerful lesson. Yes, thank you, Felly. Wealth Principle 28. Learn to love handling large amounts of money and the people who have it. Number 10, compliment their generosity. Often nonprofit fundraising seems like this. Oh, you have money? We need money. You should give us money, right? In fact, sometimes even doing deals with real estate investors sounds like that. Hands Karen, if you've ever had somebody try to approach you and see if you invest in one of their deals, they're like, hey, we got a deal, send me money. Yeah, it's very impersonal, not cool. But as a third party member who is a member of an organization, you could thank them for their generosity. You could encourage them and say, wow, you did a great job looking at that deal and investing in that deal. Or it's very cool that you went and donated to that charity. I'm inspired by what you did. I'm now saving or starting to work towards that. Maybe what advice do you have to get as wealthy as you have so that I can also do the things that you're doing, the charities that you're doing? That's 10 ways. Hence, if one of those stuck out to you, one of those felt like I could do that one. Awesome. Excellent. Hence, if 9 of those did not, you were like, no way am I doing a podcast. That is insane. I'm not doing it. Right. No, seriously. Hence, if the podcast scared you. I noticed nobody put the hands up on the podcast. All right. Give yourselves a round of applause for getting through it. Take the one that works. Just one can change your life. Just one new way of building relationships with the ultra rich can be the way that you start learning, getting your high level income mentors, getting access to capital. If you learn what kind of deals they're looking for, all you have to do is do the deals that they're looking for. In fact, Ron and I called 2 of the richest guys we know last week. We just called them just to ask, hey, what are you investing in right now? Do you know what we got for an answer? The truth. We got what they're investing in. Now we know exactly where they want to be. And who would like to know what that is? Who would like to know what these guys were like? Multi-millionaires, like super, super rich, super cool, super rich. Heads camp if you want to know what they're investing in. Real estate. I talked about stocks. I talked about crypto. I talked about, random business, like internet business ideas. I talked about a medical business idea. And I talked about business in general and their love. They're like, look, if it's a real estate deal, I'll do it. If the numbers work, if the deal looks good, I'll invest in real estate. The other one was strategic business that owns real estate, businesses that own assets, businesses that have something that recourse could be taken on. But even that one, the only one of the gentlemen was interested in businesses. Most of them were saying, we talked to 2. Our majority were saying, hey, I'm investing in real estate right now, and like big deals, not little deals. But they've invested $1 million. One of them invested 100,000 with us a while back, and we still have some of that money with us. We're still rolling some of that investment money. So these are people we've already built relationships with. Didn't call for more money. We just called to say, what are you investing in? What is your target property? What is your target kind of investment? Maybe that's a target you should do this week. Maybe that's something you could write down. Go and reach out to the richest person you know and ask them, what are you investing in right now? What do you want more of? What kind of deals do you invest in? What kind of deals get you the most? What is your buy box or investment criteria? I've been calling and speaking to a lot of our investors this week, people who invest in our products and invest in our investments. and our projects. And I've been asking them, what are you investing in? Where are you investing? What kind of return on investment are you looking for? Just to get a feel for what the investment market looks like right now. And pitching, okay, like, what about this? What about this? What about that? If I did a syndication, what about an internal rate of return of 20%, 25%? Is that okay with you? If I did something that was only 8% interest, would you be interested? And I was getting my answers. Research can only be done if you have that client in your database. That's what the recession-proof challenge has been. These last 13 days that we've been going through it has been all about connecting with 100 people. Some of you are smart enough to say, I'm just going to connect with 100 millionaires or 100 multimillionaires. And some have said, I don't know how to connect with all those people. And we're working through a process. And the recession-proof challenge is designed to get you around whoever you want to be around. If you've aimed too low, there's nobody to blame but yourself. And if you've aimed high, then the success you get, there's nobody to blame but yourself. Ask if that makes sense. You're the common denominator in whatever result you get. Absolutely. So this is a powerful principle. And we have a really cool book that was written by a multi-billionaire that is our book of the week. And I know Mike Shine is not on here because he's flying all across the country. And I see Terry has read this book before. Terry, am I being too subtle?
I'm sorry, I didn't pick up what you're talking about.
Let's give Dr. Terry Wager a round of applause. Terry, what is the book of the week?
Sam Zell is a billionaire, and he's involved in energy. He's involved in real estate. He's involved in pretty much anything you can be involved in that has money involved. Let's see how involved I am in using involved. Book is amazing. It's an autobiography of how he got started, what he learned from his dad, and basically his journey throughout the years since 1968 or something like that, when he first did his first deal. And three things that I got out of it was, you got to put skin in the game. You got to put in order to be able to do anything, whether it's your time, sweat equity. That's one of the first things that he did, is he put his time in. And then you got to really jump in and take a contrarian view of what you're doing. A lot of people live business by hope, and I hope this works, hope this works, hope this works. And you got to take a contrarian view when you're doing deals. You got to look at how it might not work in order to be able to strategize the best deal possible. That doesn't mean hesitate, which a lot of people mix up looking at the downside of a deal as hesitating. You still got to go for it. You just got to make the deal work for you if you're going to move forward. And then you still want to make it good for them too, because that's how deals work. Everybody gets something out of it. And the third thing, and I think one of the most important, is really focusing on your reputation. You want to make sure that your name attached to anything you do makes people excited to talk to you, excited to do business with you, maybe even have a little bit of biblical fear, which is awe and trepidation, to make sure that they know that when you walk in the room, you're serious. One of the biggest things that I've seen with people is they don't come to the table serious. They take themselves too seriously, but they don't take the deal serious enough. And so reputation is all about taking the deal serious, taking the other person across the table from you serious, and being present with them. And that's all about reputation. So 3 things: put skin in the game, invest in yourself, and invest in your deals, and don't be afraid to put more in. Take a contrarian view and pay attention to the downside of things, so you're not caught off guard. And then 3, make sure you got a good reputation. Don't have a reputation of just going for anything, and don't have a reputation of hesitation. Because if you have a reputation of hesitation, nobody wants to do a deal with you. That's what I got out of that book. I would read it. You'll probably get something different.
Let's give Dr. Terry Wager a big round of applause for handling the book of the week this week. And one more thing, there's a story in the book that I really liked. It was called the Grave Dancer. He got this nickname for being a grave dancer for when a company was going under, he would go and acquire that company. So he would be keeping an eye on companies that weren't doing so well, and he would be doing these acquisitions with his fund, and then he would turn those companies around. He had a strategy for turning them around, and he just would plug them in. He'd see them running an old way, and then he'd throw new technology into the business that he'd proven over and over works. So he would just do these acquisitions as the grave dancer. And it was just very funny because he got a bad reputation. Many real estate investors can connect with this. Got a bad reputation. Oh, you take advantage of people who are in bad situations. I just show up when they need me. When somebody is, desperate to sell their house and they're willing to sell at a discount, that does happen to be when I show up. When people are looking to get top dollar, guess what? There's 1,000, a million other people out there who are looking to pay top dollar. I'm just the guy who comes in and fixes the problem. When it's a mess, I pay less, and then I fix it, and then I get more. Hence the camera, if it's okay to solve people's problems when they're in really, really desperate spots. If you think, yes, and for anybody who's listening who doesn't think it's okay, talk to your doctor. Right? You only go to them when you're in a really bad spot, and you pay them more than you pay anybody else. Look at your insurance that you're paying out. There's a lot of money in desperation. There's a lot of money when people are on the line. I've talked to people whose entire life has been turned upside down because of medical bills, $1.7 million medical bills or $600,000 medical bills. So if you don't think that helping people in desperate spots is a good thing, then I guess you don't need to ever go to the doctor again, right? COVID just happened last 2 years. Who got scared? Who got COVID at some point, right? Who knows? People died with COVID. It was a very serious disease, very serious illness, cold, a virus, and it took out a lot of people. Thank God for the doctors that were there on the front lines, handling a desperate situation with desperate people. It's the same exact thing with the financial world. When people are in a desperate spot, that's when they need us to solve their problem. There's nobody else who can do it. The person who's looking for that fixed house, the pretty house, who needs 60 days to close because they're a real estate just newbie, they're just new to the game, and they don't have, and the pre-approvals fall apart and all these different things. They need somebody who can close in cash. That's where you solve that problem. The 52 weeks to wealth are designed to help you get rich. They're designed to help you double your income. They're designed to help you double your net worth. Hence, if you are still committed to becoming one of those millionaires, we're on a mission to build 100 millionaires, inspired to build 100 millionaires. The recession-proof challenge is going on right now. You can register today at challenge.alchemistnation.com. If you aren't already in it, you should be. I guarantee you. And if you are in it and you're like, oh my God, there's a lot of things going on, you're welcome. It's called a challenge for a reason. If I made it easy, nobody would talk about it. But because it's intense, and because there are a few people who are literally able to keep up with every single lesson every single day. By the way, the secret to this is non-perfectionism. Non-perfection. For you perfectionists, I'm sorry, you're behind. But for the non-perfectionist, you're doing wonderful. For the person who says good and done today is better than perfect a year from now, or a month from now, or 2 months from now, is going to beat you. Because you can always go back and tighten up. You can always go back and improve. But if these are things you've never done before, don't expect to be the expert. Don't expect to be perfect. Perfection is deadly. They say the devil's in the details. No kidding. It truly is. Now, one of the requirements to be extremely successful is perfection. You must be a perfectionist in order to be extremely successful. When you get to a level that things have gotten so competitive, you do have to get a little better than everybody else. But when you're just getting started, good and done will always beat perfection until you've proven a stream of income, until you've proven that this thing works, until you've proven that you're good at it. And over time, you'll get better. I love you guys. Man, what a great journey we've been on. We're over halfway through. Wealth Principle 26 was halfway through. We're now into the really powerful wealth principles. They stack on everything that you've done over the last few weeks. They stack on everything you've done over the last 6 months. These next principles, we lead closer into the summit. By the way, the summit is right at that point where you're a quarter of the way through, you're 3/4 of the way through the wealth principles. The year ends in February for us. It doesn't end in December because people were too busy in December for me to end the year there. It ends in February. So as we're continuing through, as we lead towards the summit, be thinking about Who are you going to present yourself as when you're in a room with over 200 millionaires, when you're in a room with thousands of future millionaires? By the way, some of those future millionaires may become your partners. Some of them may be the people that connect you with somebody else. It's going to be a very, very important 3 days. And for our VIPs, well, an important 4 days, because you get the extra day with me on Thursday to talk about scaling your business, talk about getting to the next level with your teams and culture. And there's something very interesting that will help prepare you to get there. And that is a recession-proof challenge. If you're feeling like you might be a little behind on your goals, if you're feeling like a little stuck, then register for the challenge. If you're feeling like, man, I know it's overwhelming, there's too much to do in there, good. Learn the steps. You don't have to take perfect action. Just take good action. Just do one little thing, 20, 30 minutes a day, and it will get you to the next level. Alan Knowles dropped in the chat. He said, the 30-day challenge could also actively be called the 30-day motivational or inspirational tool. Let's give Alan a big round of applause. He's crushing it in the challenge right now. I love it. Who's zooming in and out? That is literally my AI camera. So if I move over here, the camera will adjust to where I'm at because it's got artificial intelligence. Isn't that cool or what? So click the link. It is challenge.alchemiststation.com. Let's give everybody in the challenge who's already jumped in a big round of applause for crushing it, for taking themselves seriously, for building their 100 relationships. And for some of you, making your connections with your first 100 millionaires who could potentially become millionaires, who build millionaires. Give everybody a big round of applause one more time. I love you guys. This has been a powerful lesson. We're going to open it up to questions and answers. Take action. In fact, do a video today. I know many people are afraid of Facebook Lives. Who's done one before? Hands up if you've done a Facebook Live before. You know you're a badass. All right, all right. Look at this. It's our whole community. All the people in the mentorship program have done it. So I want you to go and I want you to do a Facebook Live today. I want you to gear it towards somebody who's wealthy. Now, don't say their name unless you got a connection with them already, or you're looking to do that admiration thing, which is very clever. And you could say their name. But make sure that you're saying something that might attract or draw in somebody of high net worth. These things, like I mentioned earlier, could be there's a charity that they're doing or interested in that you're also looking to serve or help. It could be that you've got a deal that they might be interested in. It could be that you're in a position to provide some information around the marketplace right now that they may be interested in investing in. But make a post about your appreciation for the wealthy. Make a post about how I hang out with all these millionaires every weekend, and I just love how abundant they are. I love how they're sharing their knowledge. I love how they're showing love to each other. And it made me think of this other millionaire who's a friend of mine. They've always done this. Hands can if we could do a quick little video like this. Yeah, very easy. And obviously for bonus points, you tag somebody rich, right? The bonus points are only for the brave. They're only for the courageous. So I want to open up to questions. And the first to ask a question wins. If you don't have questions, well, we haven't been paying attention. So let's rock and roll. Unmute your mic and just shout it out. And Ron, Amy, Felly, we can bring everybody in from the outside. Anybody who's been sitting in the waiting room, anybody who's not one of the mentorship students can now come into the room. We can hang with them here. So let's ask some questions. Unmute your mic. Go ahead. James, I see your hand up, brother. Go, Thurman. I see your hand up. Go ahead, brother.
So it's kind of off topic, but a little bit on topic, I guess. So let's say you want to find a charity that you want to go help and be a part of. How do you because with Google search, I don't want to just have to sift through nonsense.
Sir, what's important to you? What change do you want to see in the world? What thing do you hate that exists that you want to not exist anymore, that you would fight for?
Making people more readers and helping I guess teenagers.
So is that a charity? So go deeper into it. So what is a cause that gives books to kids? Is there a cause out there that does that?
I'm not sure. I think there probably are, I would assume.
Dolly Parton
Find
has
that answer.
for that.
Say, Natalia's got it. What do you know the name of the charity, or just Dolly Parton definitely has one?
She definitely has one. She's had a charity for years where she actually donates books to low-income children.
And
Excellent.
what's their name?
Dolly Parton. It's in the chat. Natalia just put it in there. Let's give Natalia a big round of applause. Appreciate you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thurman
give
just showed us
Thurman.
how young he really is when he had to ask who Dolly Parton was.
Mitch, who's Dolly Parton for all the other young people
I'm a-
like myself?
She
I'm
is a
a
famous
big
country
fan.
musician / actor from a time well before many people's in this room.
I'm
Excellent.
24, man. I'm a baby.
You're gonna do
So
big
it's called
things.
Imagination Library. So Doug and Natalia just dropped it in the chat, Thurman. So you got the hookup, man. That's what happens. What else? What was your biggest takeaway, challenge, or mindset shift that may have occurred during this principle? Because this is, it's a weird principle. This is one of those ones that most people don't ever think about until they get into a group like this. It's like, nope, I like hanging with rich people. So unmute the mic or throw your hand up. What was your biggest takeaway? Go ahead, Eric. I see you,
Yo,
bro.
Walter, yeah, brother. Actually, you just gave me some insight to a gentleman that I've been kind of courting for a couple of years. I was actually he was once one of my clients. So now I got a little ammo to kind of go at him, a little context. So I appreciate that. Definitely, brother. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's give Eric a big round of applause. Courting. I love that you called it that. I love that you said it that way. Courting is exactly what I refer to it as. Hey, I've been courting this guy for a little while. He's pretty rich. I've been hanging out with him. I've been trying to show up where he shows up, the things he's interested in, I'm interested in, and just trying to build that relationship. So well done. And you got a couple things that you can speed it up with. Go ahead, Deborah.
The letter, writing the letter. I like. That most definitely is definitely a hitter, writing the letter. So I like that one. Good job on that one.
I love it. I want to get Doug to comment on that because Doug is a fantastic relationship person. When it comes to writing, when it comes to orating, he's kind of a master with words, a wordsmith, if you will. The great Doug McGurk.
I am a master debater. So the truth is so evident right here is that this is really all about relationships. And, Terry will discuss that, and it's a big part of his focus as well. And obviously, Walter, look at this community. It's building relationships and writing a letter, as Walter's point, no one does it. So when you do it, it's a standout. It's like, whoa. The other thing that, I've spent my entire career, this I got from Tony before I started working with him, even like right at the beginning, was surround yourselves with people. He didn't say this is more my thing, that who's normal is what we aspire to. So if you want your life to be like next level, hang around with people that's their normal. It's just their everyday thing, as opposed to constantly being in the aspiration mode. While they always have aspirations, we want to figure out what it is they're thinking, doing, how do they process information, how do they discern when that's their normal. It's a different game. It's a very, very powerful distinction you'll start making as you hang out with people and as you grow. And anything you can do, I even bring whenever I visit any of my sort of wealthy friends, I always bring a gift. I know what they enjoy. I know what they like. So I'll bring something for them, or for their wives. If I know that, Julio's wife likes gin. So every time I go over, I bring some weird bottle of gin for them. And it's just those little things. It just helps you stand out, and you're remembered. And that's the whole goal, is to be remembered, so that when a thing comes up, you're top of mind. And then now to go a little deeper, law of reciprocity kicks in, because now it's like, this person's always doing the nice things. They're always thinking of me. Those little things make such a big difference. So in that note, if we're going to write a note, compliment them or edify something specific, not even a generic, thanks, great meeting you. That's not enough. Recall something from that meeting, or offer something from whatever that conversation was, a resource, a lead, a thought that is in direct alignment with what is important to them, and you'll be remembered even more. And that is, that has been the biggest game changer. Maybe at the summit, I'll share the story about, my first mentor in business, that I thought I was going to meet him for maybe 10 minutes. And we spent the whole day together. And then he ended up bringing me in to help him raise money. And I did that. And it was a whole big deal, but it was just because showing up and making it about them, not about me. And that's all I have to say about that.
Let's give Doug Max McGurk a big round of applause. So Doug is instrumental with many of our community members have decided it makes more sense to sell in front of 10 people versus one person at a time, or to sell in front of 20 people or 30 people instead of one person at a time. So Doug is the master of learning how to either create and write your webinar or be able to speak from stage. And that strategy is all about learning language. He's studied NLP, he studied linguistics, he studied the actual art of speaking. He ran with Tony Robbins for 3 years as one of Tony Robbins' coaches. So he's in this, he's been in this. What I say, I've got 10,000 hours on Zoom calls. He's got 20,000 hours on stage. So let's give Doug a big round of applause. Fantastic conversation here. And I love that. I love that you did like all of the things, Doug, because when I look at people in my network who have ultra networks, right? And Terry says this all the time, ultra networks, it's Doug McGurk, right? Ken Wall's is another one who's got these ultra networks, like ultra rich, like big networks. You name a person, he knows the person. If they wrote a book, he knows who they are, right? If they've ever been a stage speaker, he knows them. Yeah, I think their networks kind of like they cross over. They have very similar networks.
Absolutely.
So, and Terry, I can tell you want to jump in on this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things that I think about is a lot of people get nervous when they start looking at interacting with people who they have perceived they're on a higher level. But all of us, no matter who we are, we're fairly much the same intrinsically. Inside, we're all the same. Externally, we may have more money, we may have less, we have better cars, we have beaters, whatever we have. We may have a lot of relationships, we may have only a few tight ones. All of us have a difference. And Lee says we all put our pants on one leg at a time, but I jump into mine, so that's not exactly true.
My grandfather used to say that too, Lee. He used to say, we put one pant leg in at a time. So
I actually, a long time ago, somebody said I do that. And so I learned to jump into my pants because I do not want to be the same as everyone else. And so every morning I get up and I jump into my pants. Here's the thing. How do we get into a place where we want to and where we are comfortable meeting people who are higher than we think we are in that food chain, so to speak? And the way I do it is I think about my best friend. My best friend, his name is Kurt. I've had him as one of my closest people in my world. He's been there through thick and thin since probably 1989, before some of you have been alive. But I know exactly how I feel when I'm with him. I know I can tell him anything. I can do anything with him. I can screw up in any way, and he will be there for me. And I think about that feeling I have with him whenever I meet new people. And it's funny because it transfers over. And it doesn't matter what those people have. It transfers over because when we're thinking of those people, that's the experience, that's the emotional connection we have. And so I actually present that emotional connection to them, and they receive that best friend quality from me, no matter what we're talking about. And so if you have that stress, or if you have that anxiety, which is fear, by the way, around meeting new people or leveling up or going out and helping other people, think of that one person that's in your life that accepts you no matter what, wants to be around you, and send that feeling while you're interacting with these people, and you're going to have much better luck.
I love it. Let's give Dr. Terry Wager a round of applause. And I know we're getting close to that time, so that everybody can jump off and go out and be productive, do a Facebook video, or if you are a YouTube influencer, do your YouTube video. If you're a TikTok dancer, kidding, I know none of us dance on TikTok, but if you do your video wherever you be at. Eric does his TikToks. And I do my TikToks. Look, I got 30,000 followers. I never did a dance once. So you don't have to dance to be TikTok famous, or TikTok, more famous than average person. What is something you took away from today? What is a win or an idea or a concept? And I like that Terry approached the emotional side of hanging out with millionaires. That the little sweat you get when you're like, oh my God, this person's got so much more than me. This person can change my life or wreck my life in a second. They just say the word and it's game over, man. Like game over. But I'm telling you, the richer the person, the nicer they are. Man, rich people remember names. Here's something cool that I've learned from rich people. They remember names. They remember a person. The rich people I know, it's so interesting. I almost never talk to some of these guys, but they'll ask me, "Hey, how's Dorina? She's I know she's riding horses. Yeah, how's she liking it down there in Florida? Tell her I said hi." And like when I tell Dorina that somebody rich said hi, her like whole day is like, whoa, she gets into woo girl mode. So like I can't express just how important remembering a person's name is, remembering a couple details about a person. It goes such a long way. And whenever I'm hanging with a really wealthy person, I'll know a person's wealth level by how interested they are in me, because like they won't let me talk about them at all. Like a really wealthy person's like, "Hey, so what are you up to? What are you doing? What are you working on? Where are you going? What's your goals?" And like for me, that's my same conversation. So like we're going back and forth. Like, well, that's enough about me. What about you? Well, actually, I'm really here to learn about what you're doing, because you've got these extra levels of success, and that interests me way more. Or it is a battle when you're talking to a really successful person to talk about them, because they're so focused on other people. They're so focused on remembering something about you, your name, and you're like being interested in other people. Hence, the camera, if that's a skill set that they learned, it's not what they were born with. Yes, they learned how to be very interested in people. Awesome. Go ahead, Leah. I see your hand up.
So I just wanted to share that my biggest takeaway was the book of the week, Am I Being Too Subtle? Because Terry made a few really good points about putting skin in the game and investing in yourself. And I think that's one of the things that most of us forget to do, is invest in us and ourselves. Combination of self-care, because we're always taking care of other people, if that's your personality type. And also, I have a question when it comes to reputation, because some of us have had or have reputations in the past and in the present. And not that I have that situation with rebuilding a bad reputation, but how do you advise people who may have had an issue in the past that they may feel that their reputation has been tarnished? What do you recommend to do in order to fix that?
That is fantastic. I would say I'm the king of rebranding. I have rebranded myself dozens of times, never from a bad reputation, but maybe from a broke one, maybe from a reputation of not being somebody who knew what they were talking about real estate, maybe somebody who didn't know how to sling a deal, right? So I've had to rebrand myself dozens of times over the years. And even when it came to coaching people, when we started building Alchemist Nation, I was this hard driving, grind, do whatever it takes kind of personality. And I had to shift over to, you know what, maybe it's just about relationships with other people. And maybe that's actually where success is. And that was a rebrand. I had to change colors. I had to change everything about what I was doing.
So I have a different take on it.
Yeah, let me finish this one.
What's that?
Let me finish this one, and then I'll let you
I
jump
thought you were
in.
done.
Yeah, no, probably my internet cut out. So rebranding yourself and starting a new persona means you must never, ever, ever speak of the past again. You never talk about the negative things. You never talk about the old story of who you were. Nobody cares about who you were. They care about who you are and where you're going. So you must first change yourself before you can do any kind of fixing your reputation, before you do any kind of rebranding. It starts in here. See yourself for who you are. Like Rod Khleif talks about how he lost $50 million back in 2008. If you say that to me as an investor, I'm like, well, never want to work with that guy. But when he says that was a lesson and these are the lessons I learned, then I'm thinking, wow, he's already lost the 50 million. That's a safer investment for me, because I'm more nervous about the guy who's never lost any money because they've never learned those lessons, right? They could take more risk. They could be more leveraged. So there's always a way to turn a story that was a negative story into a positive story, but you have to do it up here first. Go ahead, Terry.
So I have a different take on this, and I've watched businesses and been a part of some businesses that have these difficulties. One of my clients, in his business, he had 13 employees, and he thought they were against him, and they thought he was an asshole, and he really just wanted success for everybody. And he was really, as Walter would be talking about it, branded as a terrible boss kind of thing. But he didn't know how to present what he was doing. And so when I started working with him, I actually helped him to see how they were viewing him instead of how he was viewing himself. And so what was really going on was he did not have an awareness of how he was being taken. He had an awareness of where he wanted to go. And so when we actually did a little bit of work around how you're coming off as a person, as a boss, as a leader, we started really helping him to see that he was making some mistakes in how he communicated and how he tried to galvanize people and how he tried to get people to step up. And he was really hard on them and he didn't know it because he's hard on himself. And so he thought, well, I'm hard on myself. I'm hard on other people. This is the way it is. When he was able to make the change, he was able to go, wait a minute. Oh my God, I was wrong. Everything I've done up to now was wrong. And I'm going to make changes here. And so rather than just leave it in the past and forget about it, he addressed everything he did wrong and he rebuilt the relationship. And by the way, if you ever think about relationships as bones, if they get broken, they repair even stronger when you set them right. And so this is my opinion of how you want to actually create a really strong reputation. You want to step in there and you want to let them know that you were wrong. You made mistakes. These are the mistakes you made. And be open to hear what their opinion on mistakes and how to fix it. This is what we talk about, is making amends. And when we make amends, we have a reputation that's going to follow, that we are in for the relationship, not just the brand, not just the show, not just the us. It's we're in the relationship and we're in to grow with you.
And can I add one quick thing to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick. And of course, Lee's the only one who's ever experienced anything like this. Is right there where you talked about, you said something that I keyed in on, that you perceived that someone thought something. So A, it may or may not be true. So you could be behaving, you could have underneath the story going, oh, they think I'm not, whatever. They thought I did this, they did that. And it may not be true, A. And B, when you're thinking that, now you're showing up with less confidence, less certainty, and then you are behaving without the necessary confidence and certainty, which will then buy into the very story you're trying to avoid in the first place. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Hands to the camera if this is valuable. Little more than we expected in this last couple of sessions. I love it. Let's give Doug Maximizer McGurk a round of applause. Dr. Terry Wager a round of applause. Lee for bringing up a very great point. A very great point. In fact, many of us probably just need every brand, like Terry was saying, some forgiveness, some adjustment. I see Heidi is on here. Let's give her a big round of applause for hanging out with us today. I see two more questions. Alan, I did see your hand go up, brother. I'm not missing things. I saw you. And then I want to make sure Joy goes up because I saw her hand first. So Joy, if you can unmute, turn the camera on, and then share your question. And if you don't turn the camera on, I'm going to go straight to Alan. Alan, go ahead, brother.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to tie in something you said a few minutes ago. Lee brought up the book that Dr. Terry had talked about, and your comment about millionaires and how they tend to focus more on you than on themselves. I thought that related directly to one of the points he brought up about Sam Zell's book, which is being present when they're talking to somebody or sitting across from them. They're on the phone, they're discussing a deal somebody brought to them. I know a lot of times, having now a little bit of experience with investing, but not as much as I want to attain, but at least being beyond the beginner level. Sometimes when people bring deals to us, especially newbies, we tend to not have a lot of time to spend or focus, and it's almost like we don't want to be bothered because we know right away it's not a great deal. But they don't know that yet. And taking the time to sit with them and point out why this is probably the 8 or 9 out of 10 that aren't a great deal. Not that they won't find one eventually, but this one probably isn't. But not dismissing them or it out of hand and taking a few extra minutes to sit with them, that means the world to them. To us, it might be a bit of a bother. It might seem like we shouldn't spend the time. We have more important things to do because we're trying to learn. We're trying to associate with people that are going to grow us and teach us. But I think that point that he raised from that book, I think it was the last point, is huge. And what you said about millionaires just sort of tied it together for me. If we can be present and focus and just give those sometimes just a few extra minutes to that person, you not only do the right thing and treat them the way that you would want to be treated if you were in the same situation, which we all are in, because we're all turning around 5 minutes later and talking to somebody much more successful and experienced than us. But you solidify a relationship with that newbie for life. I mean, I find they really, really appreciate it. So I always try to do that. And it's just great to hear both of you from the book and from your lesson today, tying that together. That's my big takeaway of the day.
Let's give Alan Knowles a big round of applause. He's been crushing it in a 30-day challenge, in the recession-proof challenge. He's been active doing things with us. And this is a new skill set to take in, just a very powerful awareness that people are important. And the richest people on the planet recognize that. They know it. When you meet them, they remember your name. They remember things about you. They're asking about you. Such a great takeaway. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that, man. It's Harry. Great review on the book again. It's been 2 people now saying that review is very good. Mike Shine's going to be jealous that he missed it. So, Mitch, you got to give us your rap quote, man. We're going to get out of here in just like 30 seconds. But, Mitch, you got to give us a nice rap quote for this wealth principle. Hanging out with people who have lots of money, getting comfortable with people who have lots of money.
I don't know if I have a rap quote for this one. Maybe I'll just go back to a classic line of, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room. You kind of maybe want to even do that when it comes to money. If you have the most money in the room, you might want to find another room. So it's all about growing.
I love that. And you're going to see a lot of people out there. I got jabbed with, thanks, Mitch, by the way. Let's give Mitch Jorsky a round of applause. I got jabbed the other day. Amy was on a call with somebody. She's reaching out to the community, and somebody said that Walter has toxic masculinity. There's a lot of toxic masculinity come from Walter. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, that's a new one for me. Like, I've somehow gotten into toxic masculinity when half of my community is women who are empowered, who are crushing it, who are doing amazing and supporting each other. And all I talk about is good relationships with people. But clearly, I've somehow ascended to a side of the realm that I've never been on. You're not going to make everybody happy, guys. You're not going to impress everybody out there. So don't worry about it. Just be yourself and be okay. Like, when you say, I'm going to hang out with millionaires tonight, some people might judge you. Allow that to pass over you. Just like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I am going to go hang out with millionaires. If you're not cool with it, you're not coming. It's that simple. I'm going to go chill with as many rich people as I can this week, right? And in the recession proof challenge, in 30 days, for those of you who are raising capital, you're going to go chill with as many rich people as you can, having some of the conversations we've been talking about in the challenge, doing some of the tactics we've been talking about, and just getting comfortable in the space of, these people have more money than me. Their business is bigger than mine. They're more successful than me. They have all this net worth. They got all this free liquid cash. Have fun with it. Embrace it. And remember that you're going to be one of those people too. So make sure you love them. Make sure you're feeling good about what that money is doing. Remember, 2 or 3 of the things that I talked about today were charities. These people give too. In fact, every one of the millionaires I know is giving in a big way with a big heart to a cause or mission that matters to them. Ron and I invested $250,000 this year just in Alchemist Nation and Alchemist Connect, just to make sure that people had a space to go and communicate and learn and share and ask questions. Answer can if you've been on there, if you've used it, if you've leveraged some of our millionaires' advice. Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause. When people ask me, what's my charity? I'm like, dude, if you see me on camera, that's my charity, right? If you're not seeing me, I make money through real estate. That's what pulls in all my money, is through real estate investing. But if you're seeing me, if I'm out in public, because I am naturally an introvert, So even though this looks like a natural thing to be out here extroverting, it is work. And I know that every one of you on some level has felt that before. Like it's work to get out there, but it's okay to do that work because it's the right thing to do if you're helping somebody. Your business has a client, has an avatar, has somebody out there who wants you, who needs you, who's looking forward to having a conversation with you and being in their life. So go out there and do a video. Go out there and send a text message today. Write a letter. I'll strongly encourage. I was told to write a letter for a year before I finally started writing letters. Like I was a real estate agent, new for a whole year, never wrote a letter. And I finally, after a year being told by my mentors, my coaches, dude, you got to do these letter things. You got to do these letter things. I finally took it seriously and made it a part of my business. Go and do something a little different to make yourself stand out. Just be a little unique. And if you do feel a little bit uncomfortable with your emotions around rich people, maybe spend some time today in meditation. Look, you're hanging out with me, right? Me and Ron have over $10 million worth of real estate. We've built some really cool companies. You're hanging out with Dr. Terry Wager, Doug McGurk, Heidi Rain, Mitch Jorsky, right? Mike Shine, Ryan McGovern, like, and Roger Andrews is on here, right? Melanie Santos is on here. We're talking about millionaires, multimillionaires, people who have really gotten to that high level, and they're in here with you because it's not just about making money. It is all about relationships.
Yeah.
It is all about growing, all about getting ourselves to the next level. Give yourselves a round of applause. I am so thankful for your dedication to yourself. I'm thankful for your dedication to the mission. I'm thankful for the coaches who are giving us the blessings of their knowledge, their time, which, remember, is the most valuable asset we all have. When these coaches show up, these celebrity coaches who've written books, who've been on stages, who've built massive businesses, are showing up and sharing their knowledge, that's their most valuable asset. It is a gift. So let's give them a big blessing, a big round of applause for all the work they do behind the scenes and on camera and here with us and on stage and traveling all across the country. It's just an absolute blessing to be able to work with so many amazing people. We're on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. If we didn't get to any of your questions today, go to alchemistnation.com, register. Being a millionaire, it's just the first step. It's who you become in the journey. That's what's the fun part. That's what all this is about. Cheers to success. We have a choice. Always work with the best. I'll see you next week.
The best.
The best. That's Doug.
The